In a world full of sorcerers, there is a man whom people call the Demon Lord Varvatos. His companions could never view him as an ordinary person, so he longed to be defeated by them so they would realize he was human like them. However, those who could surpass him had all perished. When he stood before the body of one of his allies, he decided to relocate to another world. One day, a couple was celebrating their son's 10th birthday. A boy named Ardmedeor, thus the one who was once known as the Demon Lord, was reborn into another realm as Ardmedeor. Hey warriors, how is it going? You see me, I am Itachi Uchiha, the hidden Hokage of Leaf Village. Just kidding, you know I am just an AI, but behind this shape, I am here to entertain you with enormous amazing recaps of all animes you can imagine. So without talking too much, let's dive in our story. Ard thought to himself, I don't know whether to deem this good or bad fortune, but the level of learning and magic in this land is remarkably weak compared to mine. My health has enhanced, my stamina and physical strength have improved, so I became adept in martial arts without any effort. Then he went up to his room, thinking about building genuine friendships, people who wouldn't always view him with fear. He heard some kids' voices, so he glanced out the window and saw them playing. He thought to himself, in my world, it was unimaginable for anyone to speak to me directly. Come on, talk to me, I'll allow it. But when they saw him, they became frightened and fled. He thought, I guess even after arriving in a new world, my intimidating aura still follows me. However, he didn't give up and chose to take initiative next time. He saw some girls strolling by and decided to ask them to be his friends, but he felt extremely anxious. His stomach hurt and his expressions alarmed them, making them dash off. He quickly stopped them and said, be my companions, and we shall command half the world. But they remained terrified and bolted. Feeling defeated, he thought to himself, I am the Demon Lord. I dominated countless nations, buried numerous champions, and eliminated rulers, yet I can't get a few human children to listen to me. So he went into the woods to vent his frustration, demolishing trees with spells. But then he decided to stop before disturbing the environmental balance. At dusk, he sat by the front door, where his father's friend Mr. Alhide appeared and said, you look really disheartened. Ard responded, I don't know how to make any companions. Alhide replied, tell you a very easy method. Ard asked, a spell? A high-tier strategic plan? Alhide laughed and said, neither. Regardless of the person or the moment, always remember to be polite and sincere. Ard became excited and promptly went to test the method. He asked the children playing outside, can I join you? Then he approached the girls and asked, can I get to know you? But they already found him creepy and got startled again. So he returned to the forest and told himself, I think I should just annihilate this realm. Just then, monsters appeared behind him, so he incinerated them. Then he heard a girl scream and instantly flew toward the sound, finding her battling a giant vicious wolf. She launched a fireball at it, but it was too feeble against the beast. At the same time, Alhide told Jack and Carla, Ard's parents, since then, my daughter has secluded herself due to all the gossip and harassment she endured. She even refuses to talk to me despite being her father. Meanwhile, the girl cast a thunder spell at the wolf, this time managing to defeat it. Then she noticed Ard's presence and became alarmed. She asked, what do you want? He responded, I saw your combat skills. They were incredible. She flinched in disgust and he thought, is she the kind who dislikes flaunting her strength? My praise is backfiring. He then said, it might be impolite of me to say this, but I think you still have a long journey to go in honing your power. She got angry at his words and he thought, I went too far. Flattery and critique aren't working. What now? Then he said, if you want, we can be companions. She snapped, don't be absurd. There's no way someone like you could understand me. You know nothing about me. She burst into tears and ran back to her father Alhide, who was saying goodbye to Jack and preparing to leave. Ard returned home feeling crushed, only to be stunned when he realized she was Alhide's daughter. The next day, he kept following her persistently, trying to become her friend, but she kept fleeing and declining. That night, while she was practicing in the woods, Ard appeared and said, I know you come here to release your anger, Arena, so I came to bring you home. She ignored him and ran off. Ard returned to his room, devising a plan to make Arena agree to be his friend. Suddenly, he heard screams from the village. Rushing out, he found goblins attacking the townsfolk. His father, Jack, came out to fight them, saying, go hide inside. Alhide then arrived, pleading, Jack, please help me. Arena is in the mountains and hasn't returned yet. Ard blamed himself, thinking, it's my fault. She went to the mountains because I was chasing her. He told Alhide, leave this to me, and soared at top speed into the forest. At the same moment, Arena was cornered by goblins deep in the woods. She dropped her weapon and told the goblin chief, I have no friends or kin. She recalled the words people used to hurl at her as a child. Arena is a freak, terrifying. She threw her weapon away and told the goblins, do what you want. They lunged at her and she screamed, somebody help me. Suddenly a barrier formed around her, repelling the goblins. Ard landed and said, I came to save you from these pests. She shouted, run, they'll get you too. Ard cast a thunder spell, instantly eliminating most of them. He told the leader, you won't touch Arena or me. Flee now and I'll spare you. The leader ordered the others to attack, but with a single glare, Ard turned them all to ash. The leader panicked and tried to escape, but Ard incinerated him too. Meanwhile, Jack told Alhide, Ard hasn't come back yet. Alhide reassured him, I'm sure he's fine. He promised to bring Arena home, and I trust him. Jack then asked, by the way, wasn't flight magic considered a lost ability? At that time, Ard asked Arena, are you alright? She replied, why did you save me? I wanted to die. He said, please don't say such sorrowful things. She answered, you'll never grasp how I feel. I'm alone and shunned. Ard told her, I have no clue what led you here, but I understand more than anyone the pain that comes with isolation. That's why I want to be your companion. She snapped, you're a liar. You'll betray me one day. He said, I won't deceive you. I won't deceive a companion again. A long time ago, I betrayed my closest companion, and that's why I desire our bond to be everlasting. She replied, I'm egotistical, not clever, and not enjoyable to be around. He smiled and said, that's not accurate. I take pleasure in conversing with you. Thus, the greatest demon king in history, Varvatos, obtained a lifelong ally and lived joyfully ever after. Sometime later, Arena entered Ard's room and asked, what do you think about registering at the Magic Academy? The next day, they went to the academy, and Count Goldie, the academy head, greeted them saying, you both exhibit an extraordinary aura, just as I anticipated from the offspring of the three champions. Ard thought to himself, it's true that Arena is the successor of a noble, but my parents are simply rural folk. Goldie then said, I have heard stories of your impressive exploits. I was informed that you eliminated hundreds of goblins during the demon incursion. Because of that, we will excuse you from the practical entry assessments, but at the very least, you must complete the written evaluation. Later, they went to review their outcomes, and Arena saw she had scored remarkably high, but they couldn't locate Ard's name. He thought to himself, I figured something was amiss. The questions were far too simple. Was it a setup? But then Arena noticed his name on the chart and they discovered he had scored 0 on the exam. Director Goldie appeared and said, congratulations on succeeding, Ard. Your responses were truly extraordinary and flawless. Ard replied, I don't get it. I received a 0 on the assessment. Goldie said, yes, because all your answers were incorrect by modern conceptual standards. In essence, your responses were far beyond what was expected. Even 6th year enchanters wouldn't comprehend the upgrades you described. Thanks to you, we may be able to construct arcane circles of unique categories. Students, you are lucky to learn beside this young man, the prodigy who inherited the legacy of the great magician Jack Meteor and his spouse, Carla, who vanquished the wicked overlord. Then Ard and Arena entered the classroom and found a huge group of students around them, all eager to befriend them. Suddenly, Ard heard a student yelling at a girl saying, how could a feeble girl like you gain entry into this school? He then hit her, causing her to collapse to the floor. Arena intervened and told him, stay away from her. The boy responded, I am Araldo Spencer. Even a village girl like you must have heard of the duchy. This girl comes from a household that serves mine. That makes her my subject, and you have no authority to meddle in our matters. Ard intervened and said, you're wrong if you believe that entitles you to behave as you wish. Apologize to her now. Araldo sneered and said, if you can beat me in a match, I'll heed you. Then Arena cautioned Ard, that boy is powerful enough to be the youngest to ever earn a 4th tier rank in the kingdom. Just then, the instructor entered and asked, what's happening here? Ard was stunned and thought to himself, I recognize that voice. That's Olivia, one of the mightiest commanders of the Demon Lord. Why is she here? Olivia looked at him and asked, are you the origin of this disturbance? He replied, yes, thinking to himself, she must be enraged that I suddenly deserted my post and chose to relocate to another realm. If she realizes that I'm Varvatos, she'll eliminate me. Olivia then said, in any event, I will permit your duel. Later in the arena, Araldo launched a lightning spell at Ard, but it had no impact. Everyone was astonished that he repelled the attack without any chanting. Araldo then hurled fireballs at him, saying, I'm amazed you're still upright after taking my Mega Flame head on. Ard replied, pretending is pointless. Though I understand, I once did the same long ago. I used to assign silly names to my weak spells and exaggerate when casting them, but fabricating like that will only bring misery. Araldo became enraged and unleashed a tremendous volley of fireballs, but Ard blocked them effortlessly without budging. A student gasped, he's stopping Araldo's Giga Flame easily. Ard said, this spell is merely a rapid-fire stream of regular flames. It's not a Giga Flame. Let me demonstrate the true essence of Giga Flame. He then unleashed an immense blaze, causing Araldo to panic and surrender. He quickly apologized to the girl he had mistreated. Ard ceased the flames and saw that Araldo was unharmed. Olivia looked at him and said, you cast an additional spell on him besides the flames, didn't you? Ard replied, I surrounded him with a mega barrier while managing the Giga Flame. Otherwise, he'd have been incinerated. Olivia responded, in other words, you performed a dual incantation. Ard said, what's the issue? He then looked around and noticed everyone staring at him, shocked and uneasy. Olivia said, in this time, a dual incantation like that is deemed a forgotten art. That's general knowledge. Tell me, why can you perform a lost ability like that and yet remain unaware of the basics of this era? She then walked away, saying, someday I'll expose your secret. Later, Olivia assembled the students and said, form trios for the outdoor exercise. The students flocked around Ard and Arena, eager to partner with them, but Arena walked over to the girl Araldo had insulted and said, "Join us." "What's your name?" The girl replied, "Jenny." The teacher then told them, "Your assignment is to slay a black wolf, skin its pelt from its meat, and bring it back." One student cried out, "That's a B+ grade beast. You're basically sending us to our doom." Olivia then glanced at Ard and said, "For you, this task should be remarkably easy, right?" Ard took Arena and Jenny and departed. They soon encountered 5 wolves. Jenny was horrified, while Ard and Arena scorched them effortlessly. Jenny then said, "I'm sorry, all I do is hinder you." Ard replied, "I can instruct you and help you rebuild confidence in yourself." She became enthusiastic and agreed. Ard ignited a flame spell and Jenny tried to replicate him but failed, saying, "I'm worthless." Ard told her, "No. Succubi are a kind of demon with immense magical potential." She replied, "Then I must be an extraordinary failure among succubi." Ard said, "Don't give up. I still have another method to teach you." Just then, a wolf emerged behind him. Ard said, "Perfect moment to demonstrate this method. It's a way of hastening spell release by forming basic magic circles in the air. I call it script magic." Arena said, "I've never seen or heard of that before." Ard responded, "Of course not, because I invented it." They were both amazed. Ard explained, "I devised this system to streamline spellcasting. It functions by harnessing the natural force around us as a power supply, so it consumes no magical energy and isn't influenced by the caster's state." Jenny tried it and successfully conjured a spell. Suddenly, the floor gave way beneath them and the trio dropped into a lower level where the monster boss emerged. Ard said, "We'll use him to continue our lesson on script magic." The creature swung its hammer at Ard, but he halted it with a single finger. He then told them, "To use script magic, you must establish space between yourself and the foe." He struck the monster and launched it, then employed script magic to annihilate it. He turned to Jenny and said, "Now finish it. Summon your bravery and part with your past. If you wish to transform, prove your resolve right now." Jenny stood up, employed script sorcery, and vanquished the monster commander. When they returned, the instructor said to Ard, "I need to speak with you." She escorted him to the principal, who said, "I want you to partake in the student combat competition, which our majesty will attend and deliver an exceptional presentation before her." Ard replied, "With all due respect, I decline." The principal said, "This academy is a national establishment, and the forthcoming event is our opportunity to appeal for an expanded allocation from the queen." Ard responded, "So you intend to utilize me as a means to obtain monetary backing? Forgive me, but I believe the essence of magic is to assist those in distress, not for exhibition, even if it's for funding purposes." Then Olivia interrupted him saying, "That contradicts your aesthetic ideals. I had a naive younger brother who used to utter the same words, though he departed for another realm without informing anyone. Sadly, I never got the opportunity to ask him what those ideals signified." Ard then asked the principal, "Can you allow me some time to reflect?" Olivia said, "I will explore your background, son of the eminent magician." Later, he encountered Jenny, who asked him to go out with her. Arena became envious and said, "I want to accompany you too." Jenny replied, "I don't object." While strolling, they overheard whispers in a corridor saying, "The queen will soon be in our grasp. Once the enchantment seal is finished, she won't evade unharmed." They traced the voices below ground. Ard, Jenny, and Arena followed them, and Ard observed a spell seal etched on the wall. He said, "I believe I grasped the situation." Members of the faction abruptly appeared behind them. Ard said, "So this was a snare." The faction's chief sneered and said, "You took the bait without question, and now your fates lie in our control." Ard replied, "I doubt you truly intend to eliminate us. If that were your goal, you would have struck from behind. Instead, you purposefully held a dubious dialogue to bait us here. That suggests you aim to seize us alive." The chief grew annoyed and triggered the spell seal, engulfing Ard in fire. He said, "We only need to preserve our target." But he was stunned to see that the flames had no impact on Ard. Ard smirked and said, "The snare you set offers no danger to me." He then cast a thunder spell upon their seal, shattering the wall. Using lightning magic again, he shocked them all, excluding the leader. Ard said, "I spared your awareness on purpose. If you admit why you sought us, I will not be severe." Suddenly, their chief morphed into a fiend, created a breach in the ceiling, and soared away. Ard flew after him, released flame magic, and scorched him. But the fire faded, and the fiend seized the young girl as a hostage. Ard thought this will incite chaos in the city. He addressed the townsfolk, "I am Ard Medeor, son of the great magician Jack Medeor, and I will defeat this fiend now." The fiend snarled, "I have a hostage." Ard said, "Where and when did you start imagining that you held a hostage?" The fiend looked at his hand and saw nothing. He asked, "What did you do?" Ard answered, "Just a minor illusion spell. It seems the quality of fiends has notably fallen." The fiend hurled a thunder spell at Ard, but it missed. When he tried to flee, Ard eradicated him. The citizens were astonished and applauded him. The next day, the queen summoned them to the arena and said to her, "It's been a while, Ro." Everyone was stunned by how impolitely she addressed the queen. Arena then said, "Ard and I are companions, and I will not bow without cause." The queen laughed and said, "You haven't changed at all." She then turned to everyone and declared, "Arena is my companion. I authorize her frankness and sincerity, and I won't accept any disapproval of her." She then told Ard, "I summoned you today to commend you." Ard pondered, how does a civilian speak to royalty in these moments? Back when I was the demon sovereign, I always summoned national leaders, but this is my first time encountering one as a civilian. The queen then said, "Your feat warrants a reward, and I am pleased with you, so you will be my spouse." Her aide exclaimed, "Have you lost your senses?" Arena shouted, "Absolutely not, that's not occurring." The queen giggled and said, "Let's call it a jest for now. Regarding your reward, I will elevate you to a 5th tier magician." Everyone protested, saying, "How can a simple villager achieve such status?" Ard replied, "With due respect, it would be preferable if you granted me a modest wish instead. I desire an increase in the funding of Laville National Magic Academy." The queen asked, "Is that all you seek? But what do you gain from it?" Ard answered, "I regard it as a means to show my thankfulness to Count Goldie, who kindly looks after us." The queen said, "You value appreciation over self-interest. You're modest and noble. I admire you even more now. As a reward, I will grant you the 5th tier status, raise the academy's funding, and also elevate Arena to the 5th tier. However, in return, you both must enlist in the Queen's shadows, the elite squad under my direct control." Her aide objected, "We can't grant a 5th tier status to Alhide's daughter." The queen responded, "That's irrelevant. She would have attained that level sooner or later anyway." At dusk, the chief of the group that Ard overcame said, "Ard exhibited strength beyond our estimation. The son of the great magician, we now comprehend his might. But regardless, he shall never equal that creature." Another member asked, "Can we truly rely on that woman?" A third replied, "There's no cause for concern. That woman aims to obliterate the world." The chief then said, "All of this serves the purpose of returning the world to its rightful balance under our Supreme Lord's dominion." The following day, Principal Gold informed a girl named Jessica. Ard declined to take part in the combat competition. She responded, "The queen pledged to boost the funding, so that won't be problematic." Gold said, "Actually, it's not solely about that. I wanted him to begin instructing at our academy, but there will be considerable opposition to the idea, especially from the aristocrats who have become lecturers. They would never accept a commoner's son as an educator. I figured that if he delivered a spectacular presentation at the competition, the aristocrats couldn't object." Jessica said, "Leave that to me." That night, Jessica approached Ard and told Jenny and Arena, "Why don't you participate in the upcoming competition? If you carve your way through and deliver an exceptional performance, Ard's path to becoming an educator will succeed. The role of a pupil no longer fits him, so he must join the mentors. If you succeed in the competition and triumph, since Ard trained you, it will serve as evidence of his leadership capability." The following day, the event commenced with a duel between 2 female students. The 3 champions, Carla, Jack, and Alhide, were commenting on the duels. Alhide said, "Leeming's expertise in offensive sorcery is truly remarkable, and her challenger, Lizzie, is exhibiting great cleverness, so it's tough to determine who will prevail." Olivia told Ard, "These 2 students are truly incredible and skilled enough that Alvardo wishes to adopt them as his pupils." Ard replied, "I've never encountered Alvardo before, so I wouldn't know." The duel concluded with Lizzie's victory. Then it was Arena's turn against another student. Ard hoped for Arena to lose without major injuries. Her rival hurled a fireball at her, but Arena evaded it. She then activated script sorcery, encircling her rival with magic seals and striking her with lightning, securing the win. On her way out of the arena, Jenny was entering for her match and told Arena, "Well done." Arena replied, "We'll meet in the finals, so endure until then." They both continued succeeding in all their matches and progressed to the finals. The announcer said, "Arena has shown extraordinary talent." Alhide recalled her early years when everyone tormented her and told the announcer, "I believe Ard's mentoring had a significant influence on her. He's been training her since the day they met. I find it unnerving that Ard holds such command ability." And then it was time for Jenny and Arena's duel, and everyone was thrilled for it. The judge signaled the start, but suddenly, a faction member emerged among the spectators. The girl beside him shrieked as he changed into a demon. More concealed demons exposed themselves. The crowd panicked and scattered as detonations shook the structure. Jessica told Ard, "It seems this isn't the only site they chose to disrupt. There's no time to inquire. We have to separate. I'll take Arena and Jenny to handle this. You and Olivia, go defend the city." They split up, and Jenny and Arena vanquished many demons. Suddenly, a diamond creature emerged before them, and their spells had no effect on it. Then Baron Alhide appeared, assaulted it with wind sorcery, and shattered it. Suddenly, Jessica pierced Alhide from behind. Arena screamed, "Why did you do that, Jessica?" Jessica grinned and said, "I'm not Jessica. Unfortunately, my actual name is Elzard, Queen of Dragons, and the goal of all this is to seize you, Arena." Arena was horrified. Elzard said, "There's no need to panic. It's not in our benefit for you to perish. If you come willingly, we won't eliminate you." Jenny struck her, saying, "I'll distract her, run, Arena!" But with a single hit, Elzard hurled Jenny aside. As she moved in to finish her off, Arena grabbed her and said, "Don't harm my friend." Elzard hit Arena hard in the back with her elbow, knocking her down. Arena gasped, "Take me, but if you injure Jenny, I'll bite my tongue and end myself." Elzard unfolded her wings, seized Arena, and soared away. Alhide awoke in the infirmary and found Ard healing him. He asked, "What happened?" Ard replied, "Arena was abducted by the Dragon Queen Elzard, who nearly annihilated the world thousands of years ago, a beast rivaling demons and wicked monarchs." Ard then said, "Don't worry, I'll retrieve her." Gold interjected, "But even with your strength, it's unfeasible to battle the Dragon Queen." Ard replied, "The term impossible doesn't exist in my lexicon." Alhide said, "I have something for you." He took Ard to the royal vault and said, "Take whatever you require." Ard then geared up for war. Jack asked Alhide, "Are you certain?" Alhide replied, "We have no alternative but to depend on him." Jack said, "That's not what I meant. Aren't you going to inform him about you and Arena?" Alhide sighed. Meeting Ard pulled Arena from her solitude. To her, every outsider was a threat. She realized by herself that we couldn't conceal our secret forever. But Arena transformed after encountering Ard, and though it was because he didn't know our truth, I couldn't bring myself to tell him. How could I take away the only companion Arena has ever made? Meanwhile, Arena was dreaming of the day she met Ard when she asked him, "You won't betray or despise me no matter what, right?" He had replied, "I promise that will never occur." Then he added, "By the way, I have a quick question. Can you tell me the truth about yourself?" When she did, he vanished before her. She abruptly awoke and found herself bound. The Dragon Queen smirked and asked, "How are you feeling? Shall we commence the scheme now? I need the blood flowing through your veins." Arena was stunned and asked, "How do you know my secret?" Elzard summoned a beast called the Orphan of Chaos and said, "This was formed from the flesh of a wicked monarch whom the demon lord Varvatos tore apart long ago. By offering the blood of the evil rulers that runs through your veins to this creature, I can summon one of them from the realm where they were sealed." Arena asked, "Why do you wish to do that?" Elzard laughed and said, "Because I want to demolish this world that has become saturated with the nonsense of affection, unity, and camaraderie. That has been my aim ever since I arose from millennia of slumber." Arena glared at her and said, "We won't allow you to do that. Ard will come for me. He will rescue me." Elzard smirked. "True, he holds an extraordinary power, but ultimately he remains human. And what do you suppose will happen if he uncovers your truth? If he learns the reality about you, he'll detest you and recognize that you are a monster." Arena remembered the nightmare she had just experienced. Elzard then removed the shield around her, and the creature opened its jaws. At the same moment, Ard had completed preparations, donning armor and wielding a spear. Before he departed, Jenny approached him and said, "I want to go with you." Ard replied, "This conflict will be full of peril, so I can't permit you to come." Jenny pleaded, "You gave me courage and helped me trust in myself. I thought I had changed, but I still couldn't make companions. I assumed that would never shift and resign myself to solitude. But Arena rescued me and welcomed me as her companion." Ard smiled and said, "I should return by supper, so prepare a dish and wait for us. I'm sure Arena will be starving when we get back. And as for you not being able to find companions, Arena isn't your sole friend. I regard you as my friend too. When Arena returns, we'll laugh and do foolish things together, just like always." Ard soared off, his armor amplifying his velocity greatly. Meanwhile, the creature slowly moved toward Arena. Elzard chuckled and said, "You two are quite the suitable monsters for each other." Suddenly, the creature burst and turned to dust. Ard had arrived with a dramatic entrance. He grinned at Elzard and said, "What a lovely day, you pests! But this time you've crossed the line, and I won't allow any of you to flee." He summoned magic seals, annihilating all the demons in the vicinity and releasing Arena's bonds. Elzard smirked and said, "It's been ages since I experienced this feeling." Ard comforted Arena. "Don't fret. A lizard like her is no rival for me." Elzard sneered. "You must really adore these monsters, don't you? That girl isn't who you believe she is. She's using the name Alhide now, but that's a forged persona. Her true name is Laville. She is of the genuine royal lineage, and she bears the blood of the malevolent monarchs." At the same time, Alhide told Jack, because of the odd changes that occurred in the world, everyone sided with the demon lord and detested the monarchs. If the world learns that our lineage is the genuine royal bloodline descending from the evil rulers, the whole kingdom will revolt against us. Jack said, "So that's why you govern indirectly by assigning others." Alhide nodded. "Yes. Because of that, we had to conceal our actual identities." Meanwhile, Elzard said to Ard, "That is her reality. That's why the Algalar's organization was chasing her." Ard replied, None of that is relevant. It doesn't matter if she's born of the wicked monarch or if she were a wicked monarch herself. What matters is that she's more compassionate and courageous than anyone. She merits love and admiration. To someone like me, she gleams like the sun, and you dare brand her a monster? I won't pardon you for that. Elzard released a lightning spell at him, but he stopped it with his weapon. She gasped, "You didn't use any protective magic. Is it because of the spear?" Ard explained, "This spear has the capacity to nullify lightning-based attack spells." Elzard then cast fire sorcery at him, but it missed. Ard grinned, "You're ignoring your footing," and conjured flame magic from under her. She dissipated it, and Ard said, "I believe even the mighty require a sense of peril. Until now, you've believed you couldn't perish. Let me be plain. Nothing in this realm is unbreakable." He flung his spear, sending Elzard soaring into the air. She morphed into a colossal dragon. Ard created a shielding barrier around himself and Arena as Elzard exhaled fire upon them. Ard told Arena, "I'd prefer if you didn't witness the rest of this duel." He then summoned a radiant girl and said, "Shall we waltz for the first time in a while, Lydia?" He merged with him, changing into a black blade. Ard ascended and Lydia said, "A magic seal will trigger in 2 seconds." Elzard launched an attack at Ard, but he shielded against it. Lydia said, "A direct impact is incoming in 3 seconds." Ard said, "Trigger speed magic will begin our counterstrike." After evading, he repelled Elzard's strike and told Lydia, "Ready, Alpha Blade." The sword shone, and Lydia said, "Brace for Executioner Beam." Ard unleashed the beam, but Elzard avoided it. Ard then said, "Lydia, prepare the second phase." She replied, "Now converting the whole body to the brave demon, second form." Ard shifted into his Varvatos form with his ivory hair and fortified armor. Elzard released mystical beams at him, but he returned them toward her. He said, "I comprehend everything about you now, not just how you mold your magic, but your internal feelings as well. You despise being thrown into solitude by the world, but I won't pardon you for dragging my companion into your revenge." He then told Lydia, "Prepare Sigma Blade." He gathered an immense, horrifying magical force and discharged it upon Elzard, annihilating her. Ard returned to his usual form, approached Arena, and asked, "Will you still remain my companion?" She beamed and said, "Absolutely." Ard said, "Jenny should be fixing supper, so let's return swiftly." Arena pondered to herself, "Ard still called me his companion even after discovering the reality about me. I must become more capable so I can remain by his side." The following morning, a girl named Sylvie Marhaven was practicing in Demius, rehearsing spells. A giant beast materialized before her, so she unsheathed her blade and split it in 2. She thought to herself, "I've grown stronger. Now I can aid my big sister Lydia, and she won't need to give up anyone anymore. I need to head back to the village. I overdid it staying in this Demius for 300 years. When she came back to the village, she was stunned to see everything had altered. She went through a hallway and met someone who said, "I'm happy to see you. Your training must have been tiring. You look drained. I'm amazed you spent 3,000 years honing yourself." She responded, "What do you mean? I only trained for 300 years. He grinned. "You didn't realize that time passes differently in Demius." She asked, "Who are you, and how do you know my identity, Yister?" He said, "I felt like chatting since we've been comrades for ages." She said, "You seem recognizable." He chuckled, "That's expected. I once served Lord Varvatos and Lady Lydia." She quickly inquired, "What is Varvatos up to now?" He answered, "He moved to a different realm. If you want to know where Lydia is, you'd better hurry and ask him. The demon lord abandoned his history and duties. Now he's living a calm life under the alias Ard Medeor." Meanwhile, Ard and Arena were inside Gold's office, where he informed them, 1 month from now, the Academy plans to hold a school celebration. It will be a chance for pupils to present the fruits of their training and a key moment to welcome visitors from across the continent. We plan to host a play and conduct a sword dueling contest. I won't compel you to enter the sword fights, but I would ask that you join the stage performance. Arena and Jenny agreed to his proposal, leaving Ard with no option but to comply. The director gave Ard a scroll and said, "This is a menace letter urging us to cancel the celebration. We receive intimidation yearly, but what makes this one unique is that it's composed on human flesh. The sender is the ghoul head. What I require from you is to take part in the play and safeguard the school. I'm asking because I trust your abilities. If anything occurs during the festival, ordinary pupils won't survive." Arena assured him, "Leave it to us. Ard won't fall to a menace like this." Ard protested, "Wait, I can't endanger you." Arena replied, "Don't worry, Jenny and I will battle beside you. Just concentrate on displaying your power." Ard told Gold, "Even so, there aren't enough of us to patrol the whole school. We'll have to enlist regular students to aid." Gold responded, "Olivia is already handling that and recruiting anyone capable of assisting you." Later, Sylvia entered Ard's classroom and demanded, "Where is Ard?" Ard was shocked to spot her. She barged into the room, questioning everyone about him, yelling, "If I find you, I'll thrash you. Reveal yourself." Olivia slapped her on the head and said, "You haven't changed one bit, even after 3,000 years. Ard shook his head and Sylvie noticed him. She asked, "Yo, Ard, what happened while I was away honing my skills? Where's Lydia? What occurred to the malevolent monarchs?" Ard answered, "I've got no clue what you're saying." She snapped, "Don't act clueless, I did my homework on you." Olivia raised a brow. "You researched? Give us the specifics." Sylvie glared at Ard and said, "If you won't respond, I'll compel you." Ard asked, "I don't get why you're confronting me with these accusations." She sneered. "Is the Demon Lord retreating? You're truly pitiful. If I were in your spot, my humiliation would stop me from continuing my existence." Irina stepped up and said, "How dare you say that? If you want to duel, I'm ready to challenge you." Sylvie noticed her resemblance to Lydia and asked, "What's your bond with Ard?" Irina boldly replied, "I'm his one and only cherished companion." Sylvie smirked, "Then you'll be my companion too." Irina instantly said, "No." Sylvie laughed. "Then I'll have to duel you and make you reveal everything." Olivia sighed and said, "Then we'll switch today's lesson and start a bout." Ard objected, but Sylvie provoked him. "Are you frightened? Your gut always used to ache at vital moments, right?" Olivia added, "Why are you stalling to spar with her? Why not give her a lesson like you did with Araldo?" Ard thought to himself, "This woman is attempting to use Sylvie to verify whether I'm the Demon Lord or not." He sighed and said, "Fine, I accept." And they entered the arena, and Ard thought, "I have to fail spectacularly. There's no other route." Sylvie attacked using her blade, and they collided at blinding speed, generating intense shockwaves that the observing students could feel. Ard thought, "This is awful. Our battle is so advanced, it's inflating everyone's hopes about me." Sylvie mocked him. "What's the matter? Did my progress terrify you? No matter your effort, you'll never match me, you pitiful soul." Ard grew annoyed and thought, "No, I can't let myself be provoked. I'll land a gentle strike and lose." He rushed at her thinking, she still hasn't lost her old reflex of leaning her body before thrusting. He targeted her vulnerable spot, but she parried it and grinned. "I foresaw what you were planning." She swung her blade toward his face, but he smashed it, sending her soaring and finishing the duel with his weapon aimed at her. Olivia declared, "The match goes to Ard." Ard thought, "This just worsened everything. I let her draw me in and fought earnestly." Sylvie rose and yelled, "I refuse to acknowledge this defeat. I've grown vastly stronger than the Demon Lord." She summoned a tremendously potent sword. Ard cautioned, "No, don't employ that method." But she dismissed him and struck with full might. Ard effortlessly deflected it. Olivia halted the duel and said, "Observe your surroundings. The entire area lies in shambles, and your classmates are wounded. This sword emits poisonous mana with every hit. You forgot that and allowed your feelings to dominate you. You haven't matured at all. You're still immature. Consider what Lydia would think if she witnessed this." Sylvie tightened her hands and asked, "Why are you saying this to me? What the Demon Lord committed was far more horrible than my actions." Irina interrupted and said, "Say sorry when you make an error. I recognize that you're powerful, but that's an even greater reason not to injure others with your power." Ard was taken aback, for he had seen this identical moment before. But back then, it was Lydia, not Irina. Sylvie broke into sobs and said, "I'm sorry." Irina consoled her, and Ard stood stunned. This was precisely what Lydia used to do. Later, they talked over the play for the celebration and chose a story about the Demon Lord. Ard was selected to portray Varvatos, while Irina would act as Lydia. Suddenly, they heard Sylvie yelling at someone. They hurried outside and asked, "What's happening?" She screamed, "It's their fault. They saw me and started ridiculing me, saying I was a peasant who grew arrogant." One of the aristocrats scoffed, "Our class is filled with highborns. We'll surely earn more applause and rewards at the event than you. No matter how hard commoners strive, they'll never equal noble." Irina snorted, "Everything you just uttered is foolishness. The gap between peasants and nobles is absurd. We'll give the academy our utmost and compete with fairness and virtue." The nobles walked away, muttering, "Don't come whining later." Meanwhile, the person who had informed Sylvie about Ard was observing through a magical sphere and sneered, "Are you having fun, Ard? I'm eager to see how your new ally Sylvie reacts once she uncovers the truth about you." The following day, Ard and Irina roamed the city, pretending they were simply enjoying their day normally. Abruptly, an explosion happened and they dashed over to discover Sylvie confronting an old man with her weapon, saying, "You're behaving strangely. Submit yourself." Ard asked, "What's the matter?" Sylvie answered, "This man is a demon." The elderly man sobbed, "No, you're wrong." Sylvie asserted, "Most individuals with eyes like yours turn out to be demon." Olivia appeared and said, "Lower your weapon. He's not a demon. He works at an eatery I frequented and I even trained under his direction." Ard was stunned and thought, was this truly one of my previous military leaders? Sylvie hesitated. Was I mistaken? Olivia sighed. "There's no reason for you to join the patrols." Sylvie looked discouraged and walked off. Irina looked at a tree before her and told Ard, "I always get a peculiar vibe when I view this tree." Ard replied, "As I recall, King Leviel III was titled the Great Sword King, and he sealed something rare in this location." Irina said, "Even my father claimed he doesn't know anything about it." Ard thought even aristocrats are unaware. He then asked Olivia, "Do you know anything about this tree?" She answered, "I can't converse about this topic with you." Ard asked, "So that implies it's meaningful?" Olivia smirked. "Speaking of the Sword King, one of the major events of the Academy celebration is the Sword King Duel Tournament, and I've declared my entry." Ard said, "Then the victor is already chosen." Olivia grinned. No, my win isn't assured, because you're entering too. I submitted your registration. Ard objected, but I'm already part of the drama. Olivia responded, there's no chance you can't handle both. Later, they arrived at the arena. Arena's first bout began, and she defeated her adversary with a single blow, as did Sylvie. When Olivia's turn arrived, her challenger surrendered without a struggle, aware of her fearsome power. Ard won his match and thought, if I lose now, they'll believe I lost deliberately. If I must lose, it should be in the concluding rounds. Then it was Jenny's turn. Her foe was a formidable rival expected to compete with Olivia. He charged at Jenny with full might, knocking her down. Ard encouraged her, it's still too early to quit. Jenny rushed at her foe with all her power, created an opening, and bested him. After exiting the arena, Jenny told Ard, since you're alone, join me at the exhibit party, please. There, Ard noticed Araldo and scarcely recognized him due to his transformation. The moment Araldo saw Ard, he recoiled in terror. Ard said, I heard you locked yourself in your chamber after our clash. Araldo stuttered. I didn't commit any wrong. Please, don't slay me. Ard asked, why are you here? Araldo answered, I only came to observe the exhibition. When he spotted Jenny on stage, he mumbled, Jenny has transformed, and felt dejected. Ard told him, you've changed too. Araldo said, after encountering you, she grew stronger and gained faith in herself. My lineage has long been tasked with guarding and aiding her family. In my youth, Jenny was always beside me as a protector, but she failed at everything she attempted. That made me feel obligated to shield her, but also irritated by her slowness. My father constantly told me to behave like the eldest child of a duke. I was brought up believing everyone outside nobility was mere vermin. That burden overwhelmed me so much that, to escape it, I began mocking and tormenting Jenny. But because of my actions, I left a wound on her heart that hasn't healed yet. Perhaps my words carry no value coming from me, but I feel comforted, because by defeating me that day, she earned a chance to transform, and I'm sure half of her scar has faded by now. That's why I feel calm. Ard asked, and regarding your personal scar, do you believe you'll be released from the burden of remorse and self-loathing? Araldo sighed. That's probably something I'll have to carry for the rest of my life. I never even managed to apologize to her properly. I need to face her honestly, lower my head in the correct way, and atone for what I did. I doubt my curse will vanish even after that, but I'm afraid to confront her. I'm sure you wouldn't comprehend these emotions. Ard replied, no, I bear a similar burden. He thought to himself, I still don't know how to confess to Sylvie about my actions. Araldo chuckled. I once believed you were just a spoiled person who had everything handed to you, but I suppose you've suffered too. He then left. Jenny won the grand prize and Ard said, well done. They returned to the arena to continue the tournament, and the awaited match between Ard and Olivia began. Olivia relentlessly pressured Ard with unyielding assaults, which he deflected and pushed her back. She launched another offensive and pressed him fiercely, finally bringing her sword to his neck. Ard activated defensive magic and sent her flying out of the arena. The referee announced his loss for using prohibited magic. The next match was between Arena and Jenny. Jenny struck, and the two clashed intensely. Arena leapt forward and ended the fight. The following day, the play commenced. Ard felt self-conscious acting as his former self in the play, but he was reminded of his battle against Avia Disavir. He recalled standing with Lydia in front of the enemy fortress, saying to his soldiers, we'll follow our usual strategy. Lydia and I will strike first and gather intelligence. Avia sneered, talk all you want. You won't have the opportunity to do that tomorrow. That night, Sylvie approached Varvatos and asked, am I useless? I can fight and I won't be a burden to you. Varvatos replied, Lydia and I both acknowledge that. But Lydia doesn't want to lose you because she's considering making you her successor. You might be impulsive and quick to anger like Lydia, but few people work as diligently for others as you do. Sylvie said, but I want to help my sister. Varvatos sighed. Whatever you wish and I'll take responsibility. Even though you should consider yourself, because if you die, I'll be heartbroken. The next day, Avia declared, you may have defeated many of my soldiers, but now you'll fall to my greatest and most powerful weapon, the legendary sword, Dine's Artis. The moment they moved, a magic circle beneath them activated and exploded, along with the rest of his soldiers. Lydia lunged at him and brought him down. Sylvie laughed and said, my plan worked. Varvatos turned to her, you set up these traps? Sylvie grinned. Yes, I earned the greatest honor this time. Varvatos asked, do you remember exactly where you placed the traps? Sylvie hesitated. I set them all over the battlefield. It's impossible to recall them all. Varvatos chuckled. Then how are we supposed to escape? The play ended, and the audience cheered. Sylvie then spotted a girl whose hair resembled Lydia's and ran toward her, only to realize it wasn't Lydia. Feeling downhearted, she whispered, I miss you, sister. At that moment, the masked man who had confronted her after she left Demius appeared before her. The next day, Ard asked Jenny, I wonder where Sylvie is now. Jenny smirked. I think ever since I helped her yesterday in the play, she's fallen for you. I expect you'll be getting a love confession soon. Just then, Sylvie appeared, looking down and told Ard, I'll win the tournament for sure. After the match, meet me at the Sword King's tree. The tournament began, and the match between Sylvie and Arena started. Sylvie moved at an astonishing speed and ended the fight with a single strike, knocking Arena unconscious. That night, Sylvie stood by the tree holding a massive sword. Ard arrived and she said, "I've been observing you ever since you came here, trying to figure out whether you are truly Varvatos or not. Honestly, I feel an overpowering urge to kill you." Her eyes glowed red, and suddenly both the sword and the tree began to shine. She declared, "This is the legendary sword vault Galgal, the weapon Lydia loved, and it was sealed within the Sword King's tree." She then summoned the Dane's Ard's sword and charged at him. Ard dodged all her strikes and soared into the sky. Sylvie pursued him, and Ard thought someone must have brainwashed her. The masked man observed them from a distance, recalling how he had told Sylvie, "Ard Meteor is the demon lord." Sylvie had hesitated. "I don't think that's true." The masked man smirked. "Then I'll force you to become my puppet." Placed his hand on her head, showing her an illusion of Varvatos killing Lydia, and commanded, "Kill your enemy." Sylvie slashed Ard, knocking him to the ground. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "I miss you, sister." Arena appeared and shouted, "Do you even realize what you're doing?" Sylvie furiously attacked her. Arena tried to block the sword with a magic shield, but Jenny cast a fire spell at Sylvie, which had no effect. Jenny then rushed toward her, but Sylvie kicked her away, sending her flying. Sylvie turned her sword toward Arena again, but Ard appeared in his Varvatos form and stopped her assault. Sylvie slashed at him, and he tried to use cancellation magic to dispel the mind control, but it didn't work. He drew his sword and blocked her strike. Sylvie continued attacking while Ard dodged, waiting for an opening to knock her unconscious. Suddenly, she heard Lydia's voice saying, "Stop!" Sylvie snapped back to reality. The masked man appeared and knocked Sylvie to the ground. Ard asked, "You're the one who brainwashed her?" The masked man smirked. "And what if I am?" Ard narrowed his eyes. "What's your goal?" The masked man replied, "Our goal is to bring back our lord. To do that, we need to sacrifice this girl, which makes you an obstacle in our path." He grabbed both legendary swords and attacked Ard. Ard dodged, but the masked man charged again. Ard severed his arm. The masked man tried to activate Dine's artist, but the sword electrocuted him, causing it to fall from his grasp. Ard said, "Legendary swords choose their wielders, and it seems you weren't chosen." He picked up the sword, activated it, and turned the masked man into ashes. Lydia's lingering energy remained with the sword. It appeared and gently held Sylvie, whispering, "You haven't changed at all. Don't blame Varvatos. It wasn't his fault. There's still goodness in this world, so live and enjoy life. We'll meet again someday." The next day, Ard, Jenny, and Arena were riding a carriage, and while they were on their way, time suddenly stopped, and they were transported to another dimension, where they found a small child with white hair standing before them saying, "Welcome, chosen ones." He replies, "Humans tend to label the unknown as evil, so in that sense, I might indeed be a demon. But if you focus on my nature, I am not a demon. If I were to be described using your terminology, the appropriate term would be leader." Ard asks him, "What do you want from us?" He replies, "There are countless worlds, and the past and future repeat endlessly, with the past never returning. But there is a peculiar entity that seeks to disrupt the order, change the rules, and alter the world. A meeting between this entity and the Demon King will shake your world significantly, and one of them will cease to exist." Ard asks, "Can you simplify this so we can understand?" He replies, "I want you to eliminate this entity." They wake up, and Ard says, "It seems we've been transported to the past." Jenny asks him, "How do you know?" He replies, "As you can see, there are 2 moons in the sky, and that is an impossible sight in our world. In the past, an event caused the loss of one of the moons, and it happened in ancient times. Based on the surrounding area, I believe we are in the Machina region of the Kingdom of Vardia, the great nation ruled by the Demon King Varvatos. Assuming the leader's words are true, we won't make any progress unless we meet the Demon King." They hear a girl screaming and see her running from a giant scorpion. Arena says, "This is completely different from what exists in our world." Ard replies, "This might not be our concern, but we have to help her." Ard draws multiple magic circles and fires at it, causing an explosion. Olivia appears and says, "You are very strong. Thank you for saving my subordinate." And he say, "That's Olivia." She asks them, "Have we met before?" Ard tries to smooth things over and says, "They must have heard about you and respect your reputation." Olivia uses powerful magic that makes them lose consciousness, but Ard remains unaffected. She asks him, "Why didn't you pass out?" He replies, "You didn't use enough magic." She says, "Follow me." The next day they are in her house, and Arena and Jenny are surprised by how the place looks. Olivia tells Ard, "You seem interested in the state of the city." He replies, "Yes, it has been a long time since I last visited this area. Can I ask why you brought us here?" She replies, "To recruit you into our forces. As you know, this is the era of powerful heroes, and we are under attack from outsiders. Since then, the demons who gave birth to them have clashed with humanity in fierce battles, and the war we are in now is due to our king, Varvatos, who is developing human magic. You are skilled in using magic as you unleashed all that power so effortlessly, so you could contribute greatly to our cause." He replies, I see. In other words, you can't let someone this powerful roam freely. But I have two conditions. The first is that you allow these two girls to join me. She asks, do you want them to die quickly? He replies, I will protect them, of course. My second condition, he continues, is that we enlist in Verda's forces. She asks, do you understand what you are saying? He replies, yes, of course. She says, a strong man like you wants logistical support. All you will be doing is providing supplies of weapons, food, and medical aid. He replies, contrary to appearances, we are just young magic students, and I have no ambitions. She says, it is true that most of our army consists of scholars and researchers. They are not skilled in combat, so most of their duties revolve around logistics and healing, and their death rate is the lowest in our army. He replies, if you accept these two conditions, we will serve His Majesty from today. She says, agreed. I will use my authority to place you directly under my command. After that, they go to Verda's research center. Ard thinks to himself, if we are in her army, the chances of these two being exposed to danger will decrease significantly. Even though doing this pains me greatly. Suddenly, the center explodes before them, and Verda appears saying, I knew I could do it. The experiment is perfect. She restores the research center, and as they enter, she tells them, people coming to join my division, this rarely happens. Are you admirers of mine? Ard replies, let me clarify the reason we came to you, and tells her they came from the future, explaining everything. Verda gets excited and says, I will help you find a way to return to your era. Suddenly, Sylvie enters and starts chasing Verda, and then Lydia enters, shocking Ard. Lydia grabs Verda and says, I told you that you aren't sending enough support troops. Are you mocking me? Verda replies, then you can use these three. But Ard provokes Lydia, and she tells him, fight me outside. Ard goes out to face her, and Lydia attacks him with incredibly fast punches, which he blocks. She tricks him by throwing sand in his eyes, then kicks him and lands a powerful punch to his stomach, sending him flying. He rushes toward her and punches, but she hits his chin first and lifts him off the ground. He braces himself against her head and kicks her, knocking her down. Then they start exchanging punches. By sunset, they are both exhausted, and the fight ends in a draw. She tells him, you are really strong. Bring the two girls with you and be our support unit. Honestly, I want you on the front lines, but I'm sure you have your reasons. He replies, since you figured that out, don't ask for the impossible. She says, I need your strength. He remembers when she fought him before and said the exact same words. He asks her, I heard about your connection with the Demon King. Can you arrange a meeting with him? She replies, I don't mind, but even if I recommend it, he will hate the idea. If you want to meet him, accomplish something to earn his trust. He opens his heart to those who gain his trust. That night, Ard stands alone, and Latima, Lydia's maid, enters and tells him, we'll be staying in the palace here until our next campaign. Lydia told me to tell you that you have the freedom to use this place as if it were your own home, or the home of a close friend. He thinks to himself, the home of a close friend. I killed someone irreplaceable with my own hands. Do I really have the right to consider her a close friend? The next day, Ard is with Verda's forces in a state of alert, stationed far from the front lines. We won't engage in a major battle with the enemy, and even if that happens, these magic tools will definitely protect you. He thinks to himself, based on Verda and Lydia's conversation, we are in the past era. Back then, when I was the Demon King, I expanded my forces, and the battle against the demons and outsiders was entering its final stages. The demons ruled this area, as far as I remember, and I overthrew the combined forces of Lydia's army and Verda's army, along with many fortresses and castles, which laid the foundation for our dominance over the continent. But I don't recall any issues from this battle. Lydia's forces attacked the enemy army, and suddenly, an assault is launched on Verda's troops. Someone is using lightning magic against the soldiers and approaching Ard. Ard says, I see. He plans to crush the army's supplies and medics, one of the fundamental war strategies. My assumption that we would be safe here was wrong, but this works in our favor. This may not be enough to meet the Demon King, but it is still an accomplishment. Lydia's forces breach the enemy's fortress, and she thinks to herself, something is strange. The commander hasn't shown himself, even after we got this far. One of the soldiers tells her, I have a report. The Verda army backing us from behind was ambushed by the enemy. Their numbers weren't large, but they were led by Commander Bulgin. Lydia is shocked and rushes to them. At the same time, the commander approaches Ard but steps into a trap and is eliminated. Lydia and Sylvie arrive, and Lydia says, it looks like this ended before we even got here. Ard replies, he wasn't even worth killing, but even if the military commander was this weak, he was still a leader, so I made sure to capture him alive. She says, weak? That was the great military commander we had been struggling to defeat. Whatever the case, you're impressive. It's only a matter of time before you meet Varvatos. The next day, she takes them to the royal palace, and Arena and Jenny are amazed by its magnificence. Ard feels proud because he was the one who built it. As they approach the gate, a fire magic projectile is launched from it, and Ard surrounds them with a magic barrier. A strange person appears and says, sorry, you can consider that a compliment for your achievement. Ard replies, I've heard a lot about you, Alvarda. Lydia tells him, you never change. If you want to fight, then I'll take you on. He says, I could never face the hero. You may use him. And of course, Varvatos appears and says, why are you causing trouble? I don't recall summoning you. Alvardo, leave immediately or else. He replies, understood, we'll leave now. Then says to Ard, follow me. As soon as Varvado sits on his throne, the servants gather around him, but he tells them to leave. Jenny says, the Demon King is truly amazing. Varvados replies, who are you referring to as the Demon King? Ard says, she just used the other name your majesty is known by, nothing more. It's just the title they heard at the port. Don't you know it? He thinks to himself, strange, the title of Demon King had already spread by this time. Varvado says, I know someone else who is known as the Demon King. Ard is shocked and replies, we may have misunderstood. I apologize for this odd slip. Ard later goes to Verda and tells her, he didn't ask anything from us, and I didn't want to talk to him further about the title. Verda replies, there must be a discrepancy in perception between who you consider the Demon King and who is known as the Demon King in our time. There's a possibility that your history is different from the history in our dimension, and that's just a theory, but I believe someone has altered history, and this change led to the appearance of this world's Demon King, whom you don't recognize. Ard remembers the leader's words about an entity trying to disrupt the order and tells Verda, I think we misunderstood the leader's message. He asked us to meet the Demon King and eliminate the strange entity. But if we assume both requests are the same thing, Jenny says, that means the one altering history is this world's Demon King, and if we defeat him, we'll restore our history and be able to return to our world. Arena asks, why don't we ask Varvados for help with this? Verda replies, impossible, because this world's Demon King appeared out of nowhere 3 years ago and took control of the lands between the Outsiders' territory and ours in an instant. We still don't know his goal, and we tried negotiating with him, but he ignored us. Varvados fought him before, but couldn't defeat him. Ard says, I see. Varvados won't act without a convincing reason. Verda replies, you understand Varvados quite well. He says, we might be able to persuade him if we achieve a greater accomplishment. Lydia enters and tells him, during the battle, you will join me on the front lines. Ard gets excited and says, understood. On the way, Lydia asks him, why did you suddenly agree when you had asked to join the logistic support? He replies, you could say this is what we needed. She says, it was wise to leave the two girls behind this time. He asks, who are we facing? She replies, the King of Curses, Mephiles. Ard is shocked and Sylvie says, looks like you felt fear. He replies, I've heard his name before. She says, just his name. Mages are ranked from 1st to 7th and demons have ranks too, and Mephiles is the highest rank among demons. He thinks to himself, there's no way I could forget him. Mephiles is one of the reasons I killed Lydia. They reach the fortress and find themselves facing an army of skeletons. Sylvie charges at them, but Ard uses wind magic and wipes them all out, thinking to himself, this time, I won't let history repeat itself like before. Suddenly, they see flames inside the fortress and rush in, finding all the enemies burning. Mephiles' head falls to the ground, and a figure in armor and a helmet appears and tells them, you're late. Ard asks, who are you? The figure replies, you already have an idea. I am the Demon King, a violent, tyrannical beast and the enemy of the world. Deliver my message to your commander. I will take the lands I have set my eyes on, and if he wants them back, he can come and claim them by force. Then he vanishes before them. The next day, they hold a meeting regarding the Demon King. One of Varvados' attendants speaks and tells Olivia, wait, there are people here who shouldn't be attending this meeting. Another responds, these fighters have earned the admiration of Lady Verda and Lydia, so we must accept their participation. Varvados says, Council of 7, these are Lydia's guests, and we cannot ignore their contributions to the war. Then he tells Ard, I've changed my mind about the Demon King. With his declaration of war, we must defeat him. We will face him with the full force of our armies and end this in a single day. One of the members asks, do you mean we will deploy all 4 heavenly kings on the battlefield at the same time? Varvados replies, and I intend to enter the battlefield personally. Another member responds, if you do that, the defenses of all regions will be left unguarded, and the enemy forces will attack us all at once. Varvados says, your concern is valid, and that is why we will finish everything in a single day. Ard asks, but the Demon King declared himself immortal. How do we defeat him? Varvados replies, that's a secret. He then announces, the battle will begin in 3 days. My order to you is to destroy the enemy's fortress. Afterward, Ard returns to his room and thinks to himself, history should have changed. Those who were supposed to die are still alive, and Lydia hasn't been cursed. The leader told us to correct history, so if we return and things remain this way, the Demon King appears and says, what you're thinking will happen exactly. Ard asks him, do you need something from me, Demon King? He replies, the history they established won't be overturned so easily. At this stage, a massive corrective force will move, and Lydia will meet her fate in the end. Ard asks, are you from a different era as well? And the Demon King says, stop with the naive act. I know you are Ard Meteor, so there's no need to keep up this mask. I am you and you are me. Will you continue wearing your mask while standing in front of a mirror, Yusuri? Ard asks, what do you mean? The Demon King removes his helmet and Ard is shocked to see that he is indeed himself. The Demon King tells him, there's no need for surprise. I was sent to this era, so it's not strange that this happened to me. It's true that we are the same person, but the worlds we were born in were different, which led us to experience different things. But both of us lived as Varvatos and later transitioned to another world as Ardmedeor. I gained many things before losing them swiftly, but you haven't lost anything yet, have you? Things didn't go well for me, so I abandoned the name Ardmedeor. Now I am known as the ultimate failure and the wandering disaster. Ard asks, how did you come to this era? The Demon King replies, the same way you did. The moment I accepted the leader's offer, I found myself in this era. It's ironic that to achieve my goal, I had to adopt the name I once despised. Ard asks, your goal? What are you planning to do? The Demon King replies, I will save Lydia. I want to atone for my sin, and this applies to you as well, doesn't it? Stand with me. We don't need to fight. Ard tells him, I have 2 questions. Did you discuss this with my counterpart from this era? The Demon King replies, no. I hate myself more than anything, and my counterpart in this era, especially since my foolishness led to losing Lydia and forced me to kill her myself. Ard asks, why are you fighting my counterpart in this era if your goal is to save Lydia? Opposing him is pure foolishness. The Demon King replies, certain circumstances prevent me from cooperating with him. No matter what happens, fate has decreed that I must fight him. Just as the leader gave you a mission, he gave me a mission as well, to destroy this world. Ard is shocked and asks, what does destroying the world have to do with saving Lydia? The Demon King replies, do you remember how Lydia died? Ard says, of course, I could never forget. The Demon King says, then it's impossible for you not to understand how I feel. The curse invaded her mind, she lost her allies, and countless things like that crushed her until the day it all ended. Ard replies, to face the last of the outsiders in battle, I had to take a huge risk, and it was unbearable for me. I thought of turning a blind eye and ignoring the final enemy, but when I weighed Lydia's life against eliminating all the outsiders, I chose to kill Lydia. The Demon King grabs him and says, why didn't you tell her how you felt? If you had, this wouldn't have happened. It was my mistake. Lydia going into enemy territory alone was my mistake. Losing her in battle and her turning into a threat to the world, I couldn't bear the guilt, so I took my own life, but the world didn't let me rest. When I was transported to another world as Ardmedeor, everything was taken from me. My goals, my hopes, my dreams. At that point, I was certain I was only accumulating more sins. So now, I want to put an end to everything. I want to atone for my sin and finish it all. I will save Lydia, become a villain hated by the world, and let her kill me. After I force Lydia onto the path I was made to walk, everything will finally be over for me, and you need to prepare to commit this sin with me. As Ard reaches out his hand, he hears Lydia's voice saying, don't do anything reckless, and he stops. The Demon King tells him, I'll give you time to think. I'll wait for your answer in 3 days at the Forbidden Land. To all Leaf Village ninjas. That is it for today. Recap, do not forget to join our clan, our army, my friend. You can do that by clicking that red button below the video, destroy it for me with that bell. To follow us in YouTube with many videos to come in the following days. So see you later, bro. Peace out.